"You're not coming to the wedding." That was the entire message. Just a short, clipped text from Mom, delivered like she was confirming a grocery order. "Sienna's family doesn't want you there." I just stared at it for a second. Then I smiled to myself and replied, "So you went with appearances over your own son?" I didn't wait for a reply. I just opened my laptop, went straight to the wedding planner site, and canceled everything that had my name on it, including the venue deposit. They had no idea what kind of storm they just walked into. That was it. "No, I'm sorry. No. Hope you understand." Just plain, emotionless words sitting in a gray text bubble. I read them once, then again, and again. My thumb hovered over the screen while my coffee turned cold on the table next to me. "So you chose status over blood?" I typed and sent it. No emoji, no snark, just plain bare honesty. Then, without even taking a breath, I got to work. Logged in to the planner account, canceled the venue deposit. It was under my name anyway, and paid for with my credit card. Funny part? It was non-refundable. They never even knew I'd handled that part. I closed the laptop, leaned back in my chair, and stared at the wall in silence. I wasn't mad yet. I wasn't even sad. I just felt still, like something inside me had stepped away from the wheel and was now just watching from the back seat. This wasn't new. Not really. They'd pulled this kind of thing before, never this obvious, not in literal black and white, but in the way they looked past me. The quiet digs at dinner. The jokes they laughed a little too hard at. They forgot my birthday 3 years running and blamed some glitch in the family group chat. And while Sienna somehow became the golden child overnight, the daughter they'd always dreamed of, I was just Nick. Always around. Always helpful. Always quiet. I helped pick out the dress shop. Negotiated the first catering contract. Found the perfect Airbnb for out-of-town guests. When Miles's parents complained that the Colorado Lodge was too rustic, I found a luxury version with mountain views and a hot tub. I even built the Save the Date website on Canva. They used my account. Still had access to it, in fact. But now, I wasn't family. I was a problem. A bad vibe. A loose thread in their picture-perfect Instagram grid. Sienna's dad didn't like my energy. Apparently wearing black to brunch and asking about where the $3,000 catering payment went made me suspicious. They needed me until they didn't, and now they were arranging their glossy, curated little wedding without me in it. Big smiles. Soft lighting. Nick not included. I took a deep breath and pulled up our shared folder, Sienna and Miles wedding planning. I clicked through every photo, contract, and spreadsheet I had uploaded, 63 files in total. Then I deleted them all. Every single one. And I renamed the folder, Good Luck Without Me. No warning. No heads up. I didn't say a word. I figured I'd let them figure it out the morning the florist stopped responding. When the photographer ghosted them. When the venue sent that polite little email, "This reservation has been canceled by the account holder." They thought I'd swallow it. Smile and move on like always. But this wasn't about a wedding. This was the last fracture in something that had been broken for years. They didn't cut me out. They handed me the scissors and expected I wouldn't use them. They wanted me gone. Wish granted. They just didn't think I'd take everything I built with me on the way out. And the thing is, I was only just getting started. If you ask them, I've always been the dramatic one, the overthinker, the one who took things too seriously. But let me take you back, show you exactly how I ended up here. Let's rewind to about 6 months ago. Friday night. Sienna called, crying. Miles had just lost his job. They were 3 months behind on rent for their downtown apartment. The landlord was done being patient. He wanted the money in full by Monday or he'd start eviction proceedings. I didn't even hesitate. I wired over $3,800 from my savings. Told her if she needed anything else, to just let me know. That was the 3rd time that year I bailed them out. The first? When Dad screwed up a withdrawal from his retirement fund and needed $5,000 fast to avoid penalties. The second time was when Mom forgot Sienna's bachelorette Airbnb was under my credit card and let the girls turn it into a war zone. I kept records, spreadsheets, screenshots. Not because I wanted to throw it in anyone's face, just so I could prove to myself I wasn't imagining it. The time, the money, the energy, it was all going out to people who treated me like I was some invisible donor. But it wasn't just about money. It was the way they treated me after I helped. Like a background extra in their movie. Like I didn't matter once the problem was fixed. I remember Dad once cracked a joke while I was cleaning his gutters in the middle of a storm. Said I should look into being a house husband since I clearly wasn't cut out to be a provider. Everyone laughed. Even Sienna. When I brought it up later, Mom said I was being too sensitive. That Dad was just old school. Old school? This is the same man who locked me out of the house for wearing eyeliner in high school. But yeah, maybe I was too sensitive. When Sienna got engaged, she told me over FaceTime. Meanwhile, Mom and Dad were literally right behind her on the couch, waving at the camera like it was some kind of game show reveal. They'd helped plan the whole proposal. Even went with Miles to pick out the ring. Me? I found out from a pixelated screen. I should have seen it then. I really should have. But part of me still held onto the hope that if I helped enough, gave enough, maybe they'd finally see me. I paid $600 for the engagement shoot. Built their wedding website. Designed custom invitations. Fronted the deposit for the venue because, conveniently, Mom's credit card was acting weird. I was laying down the bricks for their dream house while they tossed me scraps and told me I was such a good sport. Then the whispers started. Aunt Nina messaged me first, just a casual, "Hey, is it true you're not invited to the ceremony?" Then Uncle Russell chimed in, "Did you say something to Miles's dad?" Just wondering. And finally, I saw the Facebook post that broke something in me for good. There they were, Sienna, Miles, my parents, all grinning in front of a fairy-lit barn. No mention of me. No space for me. Just the ones who mattered. The caption on the photo hit harder than I expected. "So proud of our family. Can't wait for the big day with all the right people by our side." The right people. I wasn't tagged. Not even mentioned. Just conveniently erased. I clicked through the comments, my stomach already tight. One of Sienna's friends asked, "Is Nick going to be there?" He was always so funny. Sienna replied, "We're keeping things small. Just people we trust. Just people we trust." That line stuck with me all night. I didn't sleep. I kept going back over every receipt, every bank transfer, every email where I asked to be paid back and got called selfish for even bringing it up. And somewhere in the middle of that long, sleepless night, it hit me I was the only one in this family who gave without ever expecting anything in return. And somehow I was also the one who never got anything back. A week later, like clockwork, the group chat lit up. "Hi fam. Can everyone pitch in for Sienna's bridal shower decorations? Nick, since you're so good with websites, can you make a landing page for our RSVPs? Hugs and kisses, 2 hearts." I didn't answer. 10 minutes later, Sienna messaged me directly. "Can you just do this one thing without being passive-aggressive?" Instead of replying, I did something else. I logged into the venue account and requested a refund for the $2,500 deposit. Technically, it was non-refundable. But when I booked it, I checked a tiny little box, wedding insurance, just in case. They refunded 90% after I filed a claim for family conflict. Then I logged into Canva and deleted everything I'd ever designed. The RSVP cards, seating charts, welcome signs, all of it gone. And in place of it all, I made one new file. Simple white text on a black background. Asked Nick's dad to fix this. Then I shared it with the whole family. That's when the fireworks really started. 3 hours later, Mom called me, completely hysterical. "What are you doing? Do you even understand how this makes us look?" I said calmly, "Yeah, that's why I'm doing it." Then Dad called. He didn't waste time with small talk. "You've always been jealous of Sienna. That's what this is. You can't stand her having a better life than you." I held the phone away from my ear and hung up. That night, my phone blew up. Sienna posted a cryptic Instagram story, "Betrayal always comes from those closest to you." Then Mom uploaded a picture of Sienna crying, real tears, smeared mascara and all, captioned, "Nothing hurts more than your own brother trying to ruin your special day." Messages rolled in from friends, cousins, even people I hadn't spoken to in years. Some asked if I was okay. Most didn't. Most just said, "Why would you ruin her wedding?" I didn't answer a single one. Then, a few days later, I got a package. Yellow envelope. No return address. Inside? A screenshot. Printed on paper. It was a group chat, Sienna and her bridesmaids. She was laughing. "We'll get Nick to pay for the cake too. Just guilt him about being the only brother. Works every time." Another message, "Miles doesn't even like him. He said Nick gives him the creeps, LOL. And one more, he won't be at the wedding. I'll make sure of it. Watch." On top of the printout, a sticky note. You deserve better. E. I recognized the handwriting, but I couldn't place it right away. Didn't matter though, because Kay had more than screenshots. Kay had audio. And the second I heard it, I knew exactly what I was going to do at the rehearsal dinner. The event was at this overpriced vineyard about 30 minutes outside the city. They called it rustic luxury. I called it a scam with bad wine and string lights stapled to trees. I showed up anyway, dressed sharp, calm, collected. I wasn't there to eat. I came to blow it all up. I walked in right as someone was making a toast. Sienna was laughing. Miles had his arm around her. And my dad looked like he was sitting on a nail. Mom wouldn't even meet my eyes. They didn't expect me to show. You could see it all over their faces. In their version of the story, I was the villain who'd disappeared in shame. The petty brother who couldn't let it go. But I hadn't come to make peace. I'd come to end the performance. I stepped forward and tapped a fork against my glass. Sorry to interrupt, I said, loud enough to carry. The room froze. One or two nervous chuckles. Sienna's face dropped. I reached into my knicket and pulled out a small Bluetooth speaker, set it on the table, and held up a flash drive. Miles stood up, already tense. What are you doing? I looked him dead in the eye. Giving you exactly what you deserve. I hit play. A girl's voice, clear as day. Sienna, laughing, we'll get Nick to pay for the cake too. Just guilt him about being the only brother. Works every time. The silence that followed was sharp. Someone gasped. A fork hit the floor. No one moved. Then came the next clip. Miles doesn't even like him. He said Nick gives him the creep soul. Miles turned pale. Sienna lunged for the speaker. I stepped in her way. Sit down. I said it quietly, but it wasn't a suggestion. Final clip. Sienna again, voice low and smug. He won't be at the wedding. I'll make sure of it. Watch. I paused the audio and looked around the room. Any questions? Miles looked like he wanted to speak, but nothing came out. My dad stood up, red-faced. You think this is appropriate? You think this? Sit down, I said. And for the first time in my life, he listened. I turned to Sienna. I've spent over $11,000 on this wedding. I built your website, booked your vendors, paid your florist. I did it because I thought this was family. Sienna's hands were shaking. Her mascara was a mess. You don't get it, she whispered. No, I said. You don't. You never have. You didn't want a brother. You wanted a wallet. Then I pulled out the folder. Actual printed receipts. Screenshots. Group chat transcripts. PayPal history. Even the ones they conveniently forgot. I handed it all to Miles. You still want to marry her? He stared at the papers in stunned silence. And then, from the back of the room, someone stood. A woman in a gray coat, badge around her neck, phone in hand. Hi everyone, she said, stepping forward. Sorry to intrude. I'm Elena, she said, stepping forward. Nick and I used to work together. I also run a digital forensic agency. Heads turned. You could feel the tension shift. I helped Nick verify some files, she said, eyes steady on Sienna. He wanted to make sure they weren't deepfakes. She held up her phone. This audio? It's real. No edits. No splices. Pulled straight from a WhatsApp backup tied to your old number. She smiled, calm and sharp. Don't worry. I've got the metadata too. Sienna's mouth opened, but no words came. Mom gasped like she was choking on air. Dad barked. Is this some kind of joke? Elena didn't flinch. Not even a little. And then, just when I thought that was the climax, Miles turned to Sienna. You told me Nick said those things to you, he said, holding up the stack of printouts. That he threatened you. That he was unstable. His voice broke. You lied. Sienna reached for his arm, all softness now. Miles, no, don't touch me. And the whole room exploded. My aunt shot to her feet, yelling something I couldn't even make out. A wine glass hit the floor. Someone else started crying. My mom tried to say something and just choked on it. And me? I just stood there, quiet, calm, watching it all collapse. When it felt like the room couldn't take another second of noise, I raised my voice one last time. "I'm not coming to the wedding," I said. "You already made that decision." I looked around the room, at the stunned faces, the unraveling dream. "But now you can have it without my money, without my help, and without my silence." Then I turned to my parents. "You cut me out the second I stopped being your puppet. So I'm cutting the strings." And as I turned to leave, Miles's voice rang out behind me. "I'm calling it off," he said. "Clear. Final." Sienna screamed, a raw, piercing sound that hit the walls like a dropped plate. "You can't do this here." I didn't look back. I just said, "Oh," but he just did. And then I walked out. No dramatic music. No applause. No slow-mo scene. Just the quiet sound of something massive falling apart behind me. I didn't drive home that night. Didn't even hit the main road. Instead, I veered off, took a winding little side road that headed north. Somewhere quiet. Somewhere without signal. A month earlier, I'd signed a lease on a small cottage tucked away in a forgotten corner of the state. Tiny town. Population maybe 600. One gas station. One diner. That's it. Nobody cared who I was there. Which is exactly why I picked it. I paid 6 months upfront. Gave no forwarding address. Left no breadcrumbs behind. Just quiet. For the first 3 days, I didn't turn on my phone. Didn't open my laptop. Didn't say a word to anyone. I sat on the porch with a thermos of black coffee and watched birds fight over branches they'd never really own. I didn't feel victorious. I felt free. No more tension in my shoulders. No more guilt. No more calls asking for just one more thing. No more pretend love that only showed up when they needed a transfer. On day 4, I finally went into town and signed up for something I'd always been too embarrassed to pursue, an archival preservation course at the local college. History. Dusty newspapers. Letters people once wrote like their lives depended on it. Finally, I was surrounded by things that kept records honestly. No filters. No fake smiles. Just real things with edges and dates and ink stains that didn't lie. I started volunteering at the county museum. Helped organize old photos from the 1950s. Repaired a busted microfilm machine. No one clapped. No one noticed. And for the first time in a long time, I was totally okay with that. Because it was mine. Quietly, totally mine. The messages started rolling in about a week later. Old Gmail. Emergency line. Subject lines like, "Can we talk? You went too far. We're still family." Then came the blocked numbers. The endless calls. I kept the phone off. Because none of them were trying to make things right. They just wanted to hit reset. To start the game over with new rules where I didn't get a say again. What scared them wasn't the evidence. It was the silence. They couldn't handle not knowing what I'd do next. Because for the first time ever, they weren't in control. About 3 weeks later, a court notice showed up at my old apartment. Turns out, my dad tried to sell off part of the family property. What he didn't realize was that 2 years ago, after he tried to remortgage that same property without telling me, I'd had the deed legally frozen. I never pushed charges. I never even mentioned it. I just let it sit there in legal limbo waiting. And he walked right into it. Triggered the clause himself. The deal collapsed. The buyer backed out. And now he was facing a fraud investigation. Not because I went after him. Because I didn't stop it. I didn't write a blog post. Didn't blow up the family chat with screenshots. Didn't make some long-winded public statement. I just vanished. No birthday texts. No more bailouts. No, maybe next time. And that's what really wrecked them. Because narcissists don't crumble from consequences. They unravel when there's no audience. They panic when the spotlight's gone and the stage is quiet. One morning, I walked down to the post office to pick up a small package I'd ordered. Just something for the museum. Someone behind me in line was on the phone. I heard Sienna's fiancé walked out the night before the wedding, she said. Then apparently her brother disappeared and took all his money with him. I didn't turn around. I didn't correct the story. Didn't defend myself. Didn't offer an explanation. I just stayed unreachable. No address. No number. No contact. They thought silence meant surrender. They didn't understand it was my weapon. A clean, precise goodbye. Not with shouting. Not with revenge. Just with absence. The kind you can't guilt. Can't manipulate. Can't twist. They can't reach out when the rent's due. Can't call when the power's cut. Can't send sweet texts when another bill hits the red. Because there's no we anymore. Just them standing on a stage with no lights. And a mailbox that reads, "No message received." You know what's funny? When you finally walk away from the people who built their lives on your back, they don't fall right away. They just freeze, staring into the silence like someone turned off the sound and they can't find the volume button. That's what happened. After the rehearsal, after the fallout, after the storm, they still thought, deep down, I'd come back. Because I always did. But this time, I didn't go back. I didn't text. Didn't explain. I just vanished. Changed my number, not a simple SIM swap. I switched carriers, changed the country code. Made sure there were no links left behind. No forwarding message. No auto-reply. Just silence. I closed the joint account Dad had once tied to me for emergencies. Rerouted every bank statement to a private digital vault. Updated my medical power of attorney, took every family name off the list. Even changed the emergency contact on my driver's license. From mom to none. They don't know where I live. They don't know where I work. For all they know, I could be in a different country or not even alive. And that kills them. A month ago, I drove back. Just once. Not to the house. Not to the vineyard. I went by the wedding venue. The one I'd canceled. It was empty. Completely abandoned. A crooked for lease sign dangled from the front gate, creaking in the wind. In the gravel by the path, a wilted bouquet lay crushed and rotting. It felt poetic. Too on the nose, almost. But right? I rolled the window down. The air smelled like wet stone and wilted promises, rain and regret. Before I left, I walked over to the venue's rusted mailbox. Slid in a small envelope, no return address, just like always. Inside was a printout of the last invoice I ever paid for that wedding. On top, a yellow post-it. In my handwriting. Thanks for nothing. I've stopped checking the old email for the most part. But once in a while, I peek just to see the flood. There's always something waiting. One subject line read, "Please just talk to us." I didn't open it. Another said, "We don't know who you are anymore." That one actually made me smile. Because for once, they're right. I'm not the guy who dropped everything at 3 a.m. to cover their bills. Not the emergency contact. Not the family therapist. Not the free wedding planner. Not the guilt-ridden son clinging to hope. I'm not the invisible sibling quietly bleeding out support while they pretend I don't exist. I'm just a man now with a new life. A life they can't reach, can't twist, can't drain. A life they don't get to rewrite. Last week, I got a new mailbox. A solid one, metal, heavy, secure. Lockable. The kind of drop box that only opens one way. No one can fish anything back out once it's in. When the technician came to install it, he asked me what name I wanted engraved on the little brass plate. I told him, no name. Okay, he said. Any message? I nodded. So now, just below the keyhole, it says, "This box does not accept apologies." And that silence I hear every day now? That's not loneliness. That's peace.